Hello, Downey City Library. My name is Carlos. Welcome to Anime Your Way. And today I'm going to show you how to draw an anime character from scratch and how to adjust it along the way. So some of the materials you will need are going to be an 8.5 by 11 paper, some pencils. If you use one of these pencils, make sure it's sharp, and then you can also use one of these lead pencils if you have it. Those are pretty good. Block eraser. I like to use block erasers because you can use them for, wider and thinner areas to erase. Straight edge, you're going to want some kind of a straight edge. You can also use the edge of a folder if you want to make a straight edge. And a CD. And this is going to be to trace a circle on your paper. Okay? And I'm going to follow along and draw on paper and kind of show you as we go along. I have a paper set up right here in front of the computer. All right, so let's get started. As you collect some of the materials, I'll start erasing this and get ready for the program. So what I like to do before every program is draw some characters. That way I'm kind of on my toes and I kind of get to practice every time I do a new program. So once you get your materials, I'll go ahead and start getting the board ready. All right. So hopefully you all have your materials ready to go. And also if you have any materials that you like to use, any markers or color pencils, feel free to grab those as well. And you can incorporate that into your drawing as well. So what we want to do is start off with our 8.5 by 11 paper. I'm going to use this folder as a backdrop so you can see it a little bit easier. You have your 8.5 by 11 paper. And what you're going to do is put your CD in the middle of it, right around there, and then slide it up towards the top just a little bit. And go ahead and trace the outside of that CD and then make a dot right in the middle there. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that on the board. Let me show you on the paper how it looks first. So I've traced my circle here, and you have the dot right in the middle. And if you want, you can get a straight edge and make a line straight down the middle of that circle. I'm going to go ahead and catch up on this board over here. So what I'm doing now is I'm checking my drawing. So I'm looking at it from a different perspective, from far away and a different angle. And I can kind of tell where I need to fix it. I can also look at the computer screen, which is a good thing to look at, a good source, because it's kind of filming it backwards at the moment. All right, so that's good enough. We're not looking for perfect because the final drawing is not going to be a circle. The final drawing is a whole complete character. So don't worry about the circle too much or the small details when we're starting out. Just make sure that they are looking good enough. Okay, we're going to make a dot right in the middle, probably around there somewhere. Let me compare it to the computer screen. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now let me go ahead and get my straight edge and put it down here. Now what you want to do at this point is to compare the angle of that straight edge to the angle of the edge of the paper there to make sure that they're both parallel. So it looks like, tilt over just a little more. That looks pretty good. It looks pretty parallel to this side here. Again, not looking for perfect, just good enough. So go ahead and trace it and extend it down further down below the circle. You will get very used to doing this the more you practice. It'll become second nature and you won't have to put any thought into it. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is make a line that goes across the middle of the circle. Make sure it looks perpendicular to this line here, almost like a plus sign or letter T. This side can come up a little bit more. Maybe not. All right, I'm going to leave it at that point there. Straight across, and that's going to be the line for our eyebrows when we get to that point. So what we're going to do first is talk about what we have so far. The top of the circle is going to be the top of the head for your character. The bottom of the circle is going to be where the nose is attached. The two sides of the circles are, again, that's where your eyebrows are. So that's kind of like at the temple right above your ear. And then your ear is going to be somewhere down here, a little lower. And then the length of that line that goes down the middle is going to be for the length of the chin, because if your character is looking directly at you, there's a line, an invisible line that goes down the middle of the face that kind of bisects it in half, right? And so what you're going to do is from that circle down to the chin, you're going to want that measurement. So the question is, how much of a measurement do you do? So for a CD size circle, you want about 2 inches, which is about this length here. So if you compare it with the straight edge, the ruler right there, 2 inches is about there. Now, if you don't have a ruler, you can easily use 3 fingertips. Let me show you that. See that? They're exactly 2 inches. 3 fingertips would be the same proportion as 2 inches. So now, with that in mind, let me draw my line down the middle. I'm going to freehand it really quick. So you should have a drawing that looks something like that. And what you're going to do is below the circle, go ahead and put 3 fingertips that way. And then below your ring finger down here is where you're going to put that dot. So for me, it's going to be right there. See that? And that's a pretty good measurement for your chin for your character. So go ahead and draw that in. And since this circle is much larger than a CD, I'm going to use maybe 5 fingers slightly extended instead of 3 fingertips. And erase whatever's below it. Okay? All right, so that's a rule of thumb you can follow next time you do a drawing. And then if it looks kind of proportional to this, whether you use a large circle or a small circle, you can kind of begin to kind of figure out how long the chin should be, regardless of the size of the circle, because the size of the circle you start off with will determine the overall size of the character that you're drawing. So again, if you use, let's say, a quarter to draw your circle, it's going to be a really small character. You can draw most of the body. If you use a CD or maybe a cup or a plate, let's say a dish or something like that, you won't have much room, right? Except maybe for most of the details in the face, and that's about it. So for a CD-sized circle on an 8.5 by 11 paper, we're going to have enough room to maybe draw the neck and part of the shoulders down to about here somewhere. Okay? So we'll go over all that in just a moment. So the next thing we're going to do is draw one more line that goes across the face under the circle, right around here. So go ahead and put your straight edge under the circle. Make sure it's parallel to the line above here. Let me refocus. That's pretty good. Again, not perfect, just good enough. Make sure that these lines extend past the circle on this side and past the circle on this side. So just a little bit longer on both sides. Okay, so now let me grab a drink of water really quickly. Sorry about that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is make our first artistic decision. So sometimes we see characters that have jaw lines that go straight down and then go in towards the chin. And then other characters might have more of an angled jawline and then comes into the chin like this. Right? So the first decision, if you want these more straight down, 90-degree down jaw lines, what we're going to do is set up your straight edge right on the edge of the circle where it meets that guideline across the middle, and then make sure you make it go straight down so it looks like a box here. Okay? Once it looks pretty good, go ahead and draw that line and do the same thing on the other side. Now you want to be on the very outside of that circle. You don't want to cut off the edge of that circle. And now you have the beginning of your jawline for this character. Now, we have this design done. If you want this design where they're kind of angling inward, you're going to set up your straight edge the same way, except up here you're going to put some pressure so you can tilt it inward at the bottom right here, so you can swing it in. Just a little bit. You don't want to go inside the circle. Try and stay outside the circle. And go ahead and draw that line, and you have a slight angle. See that slight angle there? And you're going to draw it on the other side. You can kind of literally measure it. This is about, for my drawing, the size of this circle and everything that's working there, this is about a finger distance. So I can put a finger distance here, make a dot, and then connect it up there. No real measuring involved. So your drawing might vary a little bit. So go ahead and use maybe your finger distance, finger width to figure out any kinds of distances, or of course your straight edge. Okay. So for that one, I might try that. I'm going to put it's about a pinky distance, and then make that line right there. And if you were to erase the first jawline design, you would have the second one, which is the angled line, not the straight line. So see how you can go back and forth between one and the other. The last thing we're going to do to finish off the whole face is we're going to draw a line from this corner down to the chin and back up to the other corner. So you can put your straight edge there. And now that we have the basics, I'm going to show you how to start adjusting this to create your own character or your own style of character. Before we do anything else, let's get our eraser and erase this line that goes across the face under the circle. We're done with it. We just needed that line to find this corner here and this corner here. So go ahead and erase that line. All right. And so far, we have a character that has angled details or elements in the face. And that type of character might turn out to be something like that Pokemon type of character here. Something like that. And sometimes you might want a different type of character that has more of a curved jawline, something like this. And that might turn out to be someone like Naruto here. Right? So if you want this type of character here with the more angled jawlines, we've already done it. If you want this type of character with more of a kind of curved jawline, I'm going to show you a technique you can start working on right now. Whether you're right-handed or left-handed, you're going to want to pretend that your pencil is part of your whole hand. And what you're going to do is just turn your wrist up and down. That's all you're doing, as if you're waving hello, right? Yeah. And then with your left hand, it'll look like this. So if you're right-handed, you will always draw curves on the left side of your paper. If you're left-handed, you will always draw curves on the right side. So I'm left-handed, I'm going to start on this side. If you're right-handed, you will start on this side. What you want to do is make a curve between this line and this line here, this corner. You want to round that corner, and what you're going to do is use this as kind of a compass. You know how when you get a compass, this is the middle point, and then you rotate the rest of it, and it doesn't move, right? It just kind of goes in a nice arc. You're making a nice natural arc with your wrist already. So just trust in that and maybe make a dot in the middle of this line. So probably around there somewhere. Just guesstimate, probably around there. And then the middle of this line would be probably around there somewhere. And then see if you can make a curve, a nice wide arc with your wrist and touch both of those dots. And if you can do that, just keep moving your hand around until it's comfortable. You can draw a curve between those two dots. And what you want to do is put your palm on your paper so you can kind of slide up and down like that. Once you have that side, you can go ahead and spin your paper upside down and then do the same exact technique on the other side. I'm going to show you with my right hand to show you how it works. So middle dot right around there, and then other middle dot for this line right around there somewhere. And I'm going to place my hand in between those two dots. I'm going to have to tilt my wrist a little bit. But if I can touch those dots comfortably over and over again, I know that I can bring a nice smooth curve up in between them. And go back down too. And then erase that edge. And then for the chin, you can just go ahead and erase the very bottom of the chin and curve it across or flatten it out. And now we have a new type of face structure, more curved. Okay. All right, so next let's move on to the mouth for our character. I'm going to grab a drink of water, and I'm going to have you get a blank piece of paper, and I want you to draw mouth chart on there. Draw kind of like a big number 11 down the two sides there. I'm going to draw that on the board here. Give me a moment. Okay. So for your mouth chart, the first mouth we're going to draw is going to be a mouth with no expression whatsoever, a flat expression. And that's going to look like a line that goes across the axis line. Oops. My mistake. And then a short line underneath. So make sure that both of these sides of this line are equal from that middle line. And that middle line that we're using is the same middle line here in the middle of the face. So you would put the mouth right in between the bottom of the circle and the chin. So right here in the middle on this line. So it would be something like maybe that. Looks like it might be a little tilted, but that's fine. That's pretty good. So now I have no expression on my character, flat expression. If I want to build up from there and do a smile, we can go ahead and add lines on the edges that curve upward. That's the easiest way to make a smile. So there's 3 lines for the smile, 1 in the middle and 2 on the edges. Now if you want to make it a little bit more unique, you can pop that middle line up and you create kind of like a W. So that would look like right? And you can go ahead and curve those edges and make more of a rounded W. Okay. And these 3 mouths so far have more of a positive look to them, affirmative, happy. If you want the opposite, just flip them upside down. And the smile turns into a frown. W turns into an M, kind of like a scowl. And the rounded W turns into a rounded M. Okay? And these 3 types of mouths have more of a negative connotation to them. And this is important if you're getting into more detailed types of drawing. If you're thinking about making money at art, you want to get into being able to portray different types of emotions and things like that for your characters. And also if you're going into storytelling, this really helps a lot because then you can think of any type of situation and really draw your characters to match those situations with the same kind of intensity in the drawing, right? Okay, so a few more expressions we're going to do with the closed mouth is going to be a side smile, and that's basically an angled line with either a smile on one end of it. Let me flip it over to the other side. Right? That's a side smile. Or a side frown, which is, you can do either or, angle, and this time the edge of the angle, or the edge of the mouth would go down. Side frown, and then on the other side it would look like this. Side frown. That one doesn't work so much because it's already down so much. It might, maybe if you could do something like this. Yeah. You can put a curve underneath where it's kind of, where you're pushing the bottom lip down. I can't do it with my mouth. So something like that. If you do want to draw some of these little bumps on the edges of the cheeks, you can draw a curve up here, 1, 2, on the at the end of each of these. But if they are upside down, you don't want to attach them. You actually want to draw them underneath. So it looks like they're pushing the muscles around the bottom of the mouth, pushing them down. So that's kind of how that works. All right, open mouth, closed teeth. So now your character is either doing this or angrily doing that. And we're going to replace a line, right, with a shape. Something like maybe this sign here, trapezoid. So it'd be maybe like this line and the smile put together. The easiest way to make teeth in there is to go ahead and to draw a zigzag line from the edges towards the middle, but they don't touch right in the middle. Stop right there. And then you can add a little bit more depth into that by adding a greater than sign. So watch how I do this. I start at the teeth and come up towards the top corner of the mouth, towards the bottom. You're creating a greater than sign and a less than sign. Go ahead and shade in the edges of the mouth. And now it looks like you can see the teeth kind of curving into the mouth, right? Around the edges. The next mouth we're going to make is an angry mouth. I'm going to flip this upside down. Go ahead and draw the pattern again, maybe a zigzag and a straight line. And then the greater than, less than sign. And now I have my angry character mouth. So if you put some eyes in there, you can kind of really see that detail, right? If you put an angry eye in here, someone angry, you can really see how that would play into that emotion of that character looking really angry, right? Especially maybe if you bring the bottom of the mouth and curve it up a little bit. It looks like they're kind of curving their bottom lip up, like they're really angry. You can even bring the top mouth, bring it in a little bit like that. And then put in up here in this extra space up here, draw a few bumps that go across. So it looks like the gums, right? So you can really show those little types of unique expressions. Let's open up that mouth so the character is now yelling or laughing. So let's repeat the happy, positive expression. I'm going to use maybe half of a circle. So hopefully you are picking up how these patterns are put together. And then once you learn how those patterns are put together, you can kind of start changing them to your liking, basically. You can design how that teeth look. You can design a straight line. You can change it to maybe a bunch of plus signs that go across. So it's up to you how you want to show all those details. Your shape of the mouth could be pointy or angled like this one, or it could be totally curved like this one. You can even take out the corners here and curve all the edges. So it's all up to you how you want to design this. Just remember the basics. The edges of the mouth go up, your character is happy. The edges of the mouth go down, your character is maybe more sad, right? For the open mouth, what we're going to do is draw the top row of teeth at the top of the mouth, and maybe the bottom row of teeth at the bottom. We're going to draw, I'm going to simplify it and draw maybe a kind of curved rectangle. That's the top row of teeth, and the bottom, same thing, a line that goes across. And then the tongue is going to be, the tongue sits in between the teeth, the kind of the row of teeth, right? So what you want to do is draw, you don't see the edges of the teeth, but you see the bottom, the top of the edges of the teeth are here, so the bottom would be here and here. So the tongue should be between here and here. So I'm going to draw maybe the top of a heart for the tongue, 1, 2, and then shade in everything else. And now you have a character that's yelling or laughing. If you put in some closed eyes, your character looks like they're laughing, right? And let's flip this over. Make a trapezoid again, but the top is going to be up high on one side. And now I'm going to go ahead and draw the row of teeth at the top and at the bottom. I'm going to lift up this row of teeth a little bit more. There you go. And then the tongue behind here. And I'm going to shade in everything else. And then I'm going to draw some gums up here when I cross. And then the eyeball here, angry. So it really looks like the bottom, the top lip is kind of furling up a little bit, right? All right, so if you have any other ideas for mouths, I encourage you to draw them underneath if you are inspired. Someone did a kind of wavy mouth that's kind of like a double of this one, and it's more of a frazzled type of expression, and it would look something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that, right? Yeah. And then if you have eyes like that, then you erase this. You put eyes here. Looks like someone's kind of frazzled, right? So you can kind of make it up as you go, and whatever looks good, keep using that, right? If it doesn't look as good as you'd like it to look, figure out what you can do to adjust it. And if it doesn't work, then it may not work for your drawing at that moment, and that's totally fine, right? Because that's part of the design process, is to find out what works and keep it, and whatever doesn't work, maybe try and fix it or just kind of let it go for that moment. All right, so now that we have the mouth chart, let's go ahead and draw in a mouth for your character. I'm going to draw a few different mouths here so you can get a feel for how we put this in here. If I draw an open mouth, I'm going to draw a line down here and up here to give it some space. Then I'm going to create the shape. Make sure it looks even on both sides, even spaced. I'm going to bring it up a little bit more in the middle. And then I'm going to go ahead and, how does that look? Yeah, that looks good. Teeth. Tongue. And then I'm going to shade it down here. Is my character's mouth. All right, so next we're going to make the nose. So for the nose, I'm going to show you maybe a few noses here. There are not as many, and I usually do a chart, but I'm going to show you some of the basic noses. The easiest way to put the nose in there, because remember, the nose is at the bottom of this circle where it intersects the line here. So the easiest way to put a nose in there would be to maybe put a letter V in its place. Not too wide, kind of small there. That's representative of the ball of the nose. You can also make it more curvy. Like that. You can also draw maybe just one side, so it looks kind of like a hatch mark, kind of like to the side right there, like side of part of the letter V. If you want, you can skip the letter V altogether, but if we put it in here, you can draw nostrils that are underneath it on the side, like this. Go off to the side. At some point, if you don't want to, you can just leave the V out of it and just draw the nostrils. So characters like Naruto mainly show the nostrils on the character. And sometimes you might have a bridge of a nose that usually goes up to the halfway point of the nose. The top of the nose is going to be over here. Let me show you how you can find the top of the nose first, and then we'll start drawing some more detailed noses. So what you want to do on your drawing, draw on here where you guys are. So on your drawing here, what you want to do is put about a finger distance below, maybe the knuckle, right below this line, right on that line. And right below it, make a dot there. So you're going to make a dot right around, right underneath, there you go, right underneath that knuckle there. You're going to make a dot right there. And go ahead and draw a line through that. For me, it's going to be about down here somewhere. And what that is a measurement for 1/3 of the way down from here to here. So if you have 3 measurements, if you break this up into 3 measurements from here to here, it's going to be maybe, 1, 2, 3, right? So the first one is that 1/3. So that's where I'm going to make that line. And that's going to be where the eyes are for your characters. So we'll get into that in just a moment. But this also acts as the top of the nose. So now, the midway point down to the nose would be around here somewhere. Halfway between this line and the nose down here is going to be around here. And if you want, you can make more of a Dragon Ball Z type of nose for your character by finding this middle point and making a letter V, and then connecting one side of that letter V to that middle point of the nose, and then coloring in that whole space there. Okay? You can also connect the two sides of the letter V together and draw and color in that space right there. And you have more of a unique type of Dragon Ball Z type of nose there. Okay. All right. Let's do something a little bit more detailed in terms of the nose. We might start with, let me draw these in so we have that middle line and then the curve of the circle. Let's start with the nostrils, 1 and 2. Let me show you on a large scale here. If you have the line here and the bottom of the circle that goes through here, you would have one nostril here and one nostril here. And then your mouth would be maybe something like that. What you would do next on this, if you had the nostrils there, you would draw kind of this puffy part on the outside of the nostrils. You would draw the outside of it here, one, like a parentheses, and two. You come up a little bit, and then come down where that letter V would be. You would kind of come down into the point there in the middle and come back up. So it looks almost like kind of a flat heart. And then the bottom would come down under the nostrils into a point down here. So you can see it kind of looks like you've kind of taken a heart and squished it downwards. And what you want to do is shade in that space in the middle, but make sure that the nostrils are the darkest line in there. And this design of that heart can be any kind of design you want. You can design it more angled, up, down. You can kind of make the curves wider on the outside, upper part, or down on the lower part. So it's all up to you how you want to design it. And then once you have this, then you might, you have your character here. And you might even draw part of the bridge, right, going up to the middle of the nose, like that, and then a little triangle, and the shading, the same type of shading up there. And then it'll look like kind of like a side shadow on the side of your nose there. So again, all that is up to you and how you want to draw that out. So we could do something where you have the ball of the nose up here above the nostrils, and then that would come up all the way to the top of the nose, way up here, okay, right between your eyes. So what you want to do it again is draw a greater than sign, a very flat one, and a less than sign on each side of that line that goes down in the middle here. So right here, on this side and this side, greater than sign, really close to it, and less than sign. Like that. And then you can connect this line of the edge of the nose here, and of course you're going to erase this one to match this angle coming in. Really thin, gets really close to that middle line, but never touches it. Then this one comes up, gets really close to that middle line, but never touches it. And at this point, you can then erase that middle line altogether. And then here you have your nose. And this is more reminiscent of characters maybe like from One Piece or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where you start having more angled, a little more unique looking noses, right? And then you can sometimes kind of shade in the very bottom of the nose, and as it goes up, it gets lighter and lighter. So you're adding that element of shadow in there. Sometimes you can show the edge of the nose by, from up here, drawing an angle that comes out and then down. And then you're getting into more detailed types of noses where you can start, again, drawing the edges of that puffy part around the nostrils coming up and down. So that's when you start getting into really unique types of noses, right? So once we have the nose in there, I might leave that. It looks pretty cool. I might erase these two edges, and I might erase the connection up here, but I'll let it kind of come upward like this. Something like that. All right. Once you have the nose in place, we can go ahead and erase the bottom of the circle all the way down underneath the nose and all the way to the other side of the face. Okay. Now on to the eyeballs. So for the eyeballs, what we're going to do is one eyeball is going to sit. Remember, the eyeballs are on this line. One sits in the middle between the middle of the face and the edge of the face. So right in the middle between the finger and the marker that I have here, probably around here somewhere, I would draw a circle there. Same thing on the other side. Guesstimate and draw that circle. Now you have to check a few things. Make sure that it's the same size of a circle. And if you did use a CD for the beginning of your drawing, then you can easily, let me draw the line for the eyes. Pardon me a second. Right there. Here's the line for your eyes here and here and here. And you can easily put the CD right in the middle of that line. So let's say you have your eye right there and right here, right, those two dots. And then you put that CD circle right above it, touching that line. And then you can go ahead and trace it in. And that's a good eyeball for your character, or size of an eyeball. So again, it's like a little shortcut. You can use that CD for that. If you want to, you can go ahead and make it a oval. Just make sure you don't go down towards the bottom of your nose. Stay a little bit above the bottom of your nose. So if you want to make a really extreme oval for your eye, you can do something like that. Right? Or anywhere in between this and that. So it could be maybe halfway. So again, just because the size is like a large eyeball or small eyeball does not really change the type of expression. That comes in later, the way you design it. So not just because you have a larger eyeball will not make your character look more, whatever type of expression you're looking for. So this is completely a decision that you can make based on the type of character you want to design. Okay? All right, so let me go ahead and find a midway point between these two sizes. Maybe a little bit larger circle. How about that? Okay, I'm good with that. All right, so now let's put in the details for the eyeballs. Let me see how we're doing so far on time. I think we're about half hour in. Perfect. All right, so now the two types of eyeball designs you're going to do, they can be either or, but try not to mix them together. So the design is either going to go across the eyeball this way or across the eyeball this way at a diagonal route. And it's going to go through the eyeball, and you're going to have 3 points at which this line goes through the eyeball. 1, 2, and 3. Right in the middle, and 2 on the edges. So the first shape we want is maybe at the very top here. I'm going to choose maybe like a triangle, or like a letter V that comes down into the middle area and out to the side. And then the second shape, I'm going to make a circle or a small circle in the middle. But I'm going to erase whatever's inside that first shape and color in the rest of that second shape. That's going to be the pupil for your eyeball. You don't have to color it in. You can leave it without coloring in. You can be a white pupil. That's totally fine. Or you can put in a color for the pupil as long as it's, so far, some characters have like light blue pupils. So you can play around with that too. And then the third shape is going to be maybe some kind of a smaller shape, something reminiscent of this maybe. Or it could be, let's say 2 ovals. It's all up to you. Just make sure you repeat the pattern on both sides of your eyeball, or both eyeballs. The other pattern is going to be the opposite way. I'm going to change all the shapes. I'm going to use the first shape. I'm going to use a starburst. So it covers the whole top and side and top of the middle part. Underneath that, I'm going to draw maybe a diamond for my pupil. And then the third shape will be maybe a oval coming in from the edge there. And then when you shade in everything around it, you have your eyeball design. You can also change the whole shape of everything. Let's say we're taking this eyeball here, we make a variation of it. You can make the pupil the biggest shape in the eyeball, and then make the highlight a small circle on the side there that's completely white, and then you can color in the pupil here, and then maybe leave a space at the very bottom without coloring in. You can color in the rest of the eyeball around it. And then if you color in the top of the eyeball a little bit darker, and as you go down make it lighter and lighter, it makes that effect of like a kind of glossy eyeball, which is pretty cool. So that could be your eyeball, right? So any kind of variation of that you want to make, you can change the shapes, the sizes, just try and keep the positioning around the same, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and put in some eye designs for your character. I'm going to go ahead and put in a very thin pupil. Some lines that come straight down. That's pretty cool. And it gives it kind of this glossy look. So it's kind of interesting how that works. All right, so now we're going to work on the eyelids for our character. So I'm going to show you on this board over here. I'm going to erase what I have so far. And now we can really get into the kind of the psychology of the expressions of your character. Sounds complicated, but it's not. So I'm going to draw a few different eyes. I'm going to draw 3 sets of eyes. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So the first line we're going to draw is going to be a curve or a straight line. And it's going to either be above your eyeball, touching the eyeball, or down below the top of the eyeball where it's cutting it off a little bit. So it would look something like this. You can choose, again, the first line can either be a straight line like this, or it could be a curve like that. Okay, so choose one of those that you want. Go ahead and put it above the eyeball, right on top of it. Or at the top of the eyeball. If you do it at the top of the eyeball, make sure it kind of overlaps just a little bit on the edges. Or you could bring it down further, and it would be somewhere around here at the top. Go ahead and draw that across. And then erase the top of that eyeball. Okay. Now, this expression is more excited or more emotional. This one here is going to be less excited or less emotional. And this one is going to be relaxed. Okay? And so the next line, so we have 5 lines to do on each eyeball, so it's going to be 10 lines altogether, minus 2, we have 8 more lines to go. So on the inside of your first line here and here, you're going to come down like an angry eye. You're going to draw 2 lines coming in towards the middle like an angry eye. Remember, the middle line between the eyes is here of the face. So that's line number 2, coming in towards the middle line on each side. Line number 3, we're going to go to the outside of the eyelids here and here, and right there and there, and just extend them out a little further. So just slightly extend it out. And you'll see you can't go any further because it's going to be really close to the edge of your face at that point. So that's line number 3. Line number 4 is, let's say you have your mouth right here, maybe a frown, or maybe one of these different types of mouths. The edges of the mouth are here and here. Find those on your character, on your drawing, and see if you can find a direct path from this outside line all the way down to here. And draw it, start drawing it down towards the corner of your mouth, but only halfway down the eyeball, so right around to here. Because this is halfway of the eyeball, right there. 1, and this one would come out to there. This one would come down to here, halfway down the eye. And line number 5 is going to be at the bottom of your eyeball. So now your character looks more excited, especially if you do this. If you bring that line at the bottom of your eyeball and bring it below it. Now your character, if your character's mouth is open, they are really excited or emotional about something, right? Less excited, less emotional. It might work with the line below the eyeball, but it looks like maybe your character is more exasperated about something, right? So we can go ahead and, but also I guess if you make this into a smile, it will change that, right? Maybe it looks like they're looking up a little bit because their eyeballs are touching the top and not the bottom. So it creates different types of illusions based on what you want for your character. You can also cut off the bottom of the eye a little bit at an angle, so it looks like from this corner it comes out, and from this corner it comes out, and then you erase. Now your character looks like they're kind of pushing up with their cheeks, right? This last one here, you can bring that line at the very bottom. Relaxed. Okay? So we have 3 different types of eye expressions you can put for your character. Let me go ahead and put the eyelids for my character here. I'm going to make these more round. So 1, more round. Number 2, round. Number 3, continue that round. Number 4, Come down, rounded, and then number 5 at the very bottom, just like that. Same thing on this side. Round at the top, number 2, number 3 out to here, number 4, and then number 5, they should be around the same height. So that's my eyes right there. That's almost like, reminds me of, what's his face? Deku from My Hero Academia. So I have the top of my nose here. I'm going to erase one of these and just leave the other one like that. So now let's move on to the eyebrows. The eyebrows are going to be above the eyelids, so they're going to be on this line here. They can either be going through it, which would kind of follow this line here, where it goes up sharply and then kind of winds down shallow on the other side right there. So it's going to be like this. 1, and then 2. 1, 2. Now this works the same way that this works here. If you put this eyebrow above that line, your character is going to have more, even more emotion. So let's try it above. See that? Just doing that changes the expression of my character to like, whoa, even more intense, right? You can even push it further and bring it up way up here. Right? So that all that kind of makes a difference, how high up it goes, all that good stuff. So let's put this down here, just kind of regular. It's gonna, this is gonna branch out up to where the eyebrow would be, around here. 1, and on the other side. There's my character. You can add some eyelashes now. You can start designing the type of character it is. Right? You can add more details, maybe a small curve at the top to show that kind of fold over the eyelid up here of the skin right there. However you want to show that. You want to put some freckles, right? Any kind of detail you want to put on there, and now you can start doing that for your character. Okay? All right, so now let's work on the neck. So the neck is going to be right below each eyeball. So under this eyeball, straight down when you reach that chin area, that's where you're going to put that dot and the line coming down for the neck. Same thing on the other side, right below the eyeball, straight down. Once you pass the bottom of the chin here, then you can start kind of branching it out like a tree trunk. And then we can go ahead and draw a collar. It could be a curve, it could be a letter V. It centers right below the chin here. And then we can go ahead and draw this line of the shoulder coming out kind of downhill to the edge of your paper. And then straight down. Same thing on the other side. Like that. And it works out pretty well on your 8.5 by 11 paper if you're using a CD. It kind of works out perfectly where you can have this much detail. Remember at the beginning I was talking about how the size of the original circle you use will determine the overall size of your character. So when you're sketching, if you're working on a comic book, you're normally going to use circles to begin your drawings that are the size of maybe like a dime or even smaller than that, right? To get that whole character's body in there. And at that point, you don't have to pay attention to all this detail because you're just paying attention to some of the most important details and not all these smaller ones. So that will change when you draw that. All right, so now let's work on the ears. So for the ears, I want you to take a measurement with me. Put your thumb under your nostril, then the top of your index finger, your index finger at your eyeball, so it kind of curves right there. Keep this measurement here and turn your head to the side. Where does that measurement end up? Right at the top and the bottom of your ear. So keep that in mind as you're drawing your ears. So let me show you a quick way to start drawing ears, even if you've never drawn one before. We are all familiar with how to draw a heart. So you break up the heart. Half of a heart is now an anime ear. One thing you need to do is erase the very bottom of it and curve it up into the head, and now you have your ear lobe right there. Half of a heart equals an anime ear. You can also change it up a little bit. Now that you know what it looks like, you can make it more angled. That could be your ear for your character. Or more rounded. That's not good. Let me do another one. Yeah, like that. Right? Because you know it kind of looks like a heart, so it'd be wider at the top a little bit, right in the bottom. So again, start having fun with that, play around with it. I'm going to find my eyeballs that are right here. Make that line at the very top where the eyeballs are, and at the bottom where the nose is here. Half of a heart. You're going to start underneath this line, come up at an angle. When you touch the top, come around, bring it all the way down to the bottom. Same thing on this side. Then you can erase the lines. And I'm going to check this from a different vantage point. Yeah, not too bad. I'm going to erase the very bottom of the ears and curve them up into the head so it looks more like an earlobe. And then draw some designs in here. And you can practice looking in the mirror and see if you can kind of replicate some of these shapes inside your ears that you see. Okay. All right. So now that we have the ears in place, you can start adding some, some different accessories. You can put earrings on them. You can add whatever you want for your character. You can give your character elf ears. Right. So have some fun with that as well. Create something original, something that you like. That's the best way to begin a good idea for a story, is to start with something that you like, that attracts you to it. Whatever the idea or the character design, if they're more of an adventurer or like a mystery type of story, just get into that and really try and design your character to fit the style that you want. And then from there, you might create something really original. All right, so now we're going to work on the hair. So the hair, we're going to start off with long hair and then go into short hair, and then we are pretty much done. We have 51. Oh yeah, we're about 10 minutes to go, I think. So we want to focus on the top of the hair, the sides of the hair, and then the bottom, and then the front of the hair. So for the top of the hair, we always want to start above that circle because our hair grows out of our scalp and then up into that kind of hairline that we have there. You can literally put your hand at the top of your hair really softly, and then from there push down into your scalp. So we're going to put a dot right above there, and if your character's hair is behind their ears, we're going to make a dot at the top of the ear here and here. Then come up, curve it around, connect the dots up there, all the way to the other side. And now, if you have long hair for your character, it would follow it below the ear, behind the ear, and come out right around here. Then you can kind of bring it out over the shoulder. Same thing on this side, over this shoulder. Now you have the top, the sides, and the back right here. So we have 1, 2, 3. And then we just need to do the front. So there's many different ways we can do the front of the hair. If you want to do a traditional part, we can make a dot at the upper middle of the forehead right here and draw a part that kind of comes down this way and down that way to both sides. We can move that part over. I'm going to erase the eyelashes for a moment because I know they're going to get in the way. We can move that dot from here all the way to the side here above this eyeball, and then draw another curve that curves down this way. Notice the curve technique I'm using with my wrist. This one's too hard to do this. I'm just going to kind of fake it. This one kind of comes up like that. And it might cover part of the eye a little bit, and that's totally fine for that character. You can also do something like break it up a little bit. Maybe put it right up here, draw 1, and then instead of drawing 1 this way, you break it up into 2. So it comes out 1, and then another one that comes out like that. So you can play around with that as well. If you want to make the type of hair that looks like it comes up and then over, you're going to make a letter M, or start with the letter V in the middle, 1, 2, and then from here, bring it down right on the outside of the eye here, all the way down into the shoulder area. Same thing with this one. Kind of visualize where it sits. If it's too short of a letter M up to here, you know it's not going to work. So you might want to bring it up to the same height, and then see, does it kind of fit? Yeah, it does. So you can kind of add it in there. It doesn't have to be perfect on both sides, as long as it looks pretty similar. Then we're going to draw another part of that letter M right above it here. Draw another dot. It should be right in the middle of that line. And then we're going to draw a M that comes up higher on this side and higher up on this side. And then it would come out, touch right on the edge of the ear, and meet it at the bottom here. And you can erase everything inside of that, and that becomes the bangs in front of the ears. Erase everything inside of it. Now we have the bangs right in front. Now we can do some more unique things. If you want to put the bangs behind it, you can just draw some lines that kind of come out over like this. The hair looks like it's behind the ears, but This hair makes it look like it's kind of bushy coming out to the sides. So if you do want these sides to go outside of the ears, you just move that dot out to here and reconnect it to the top. And then bring it out to the bottom. So you've diverted this path behind the ear and just let it flow out on the side of the ear. Right there. And now you can start erasing the circle here. And then start putting in some more bangs that come up over, and then maybe cover the ear altogether if you want. And now you have the whole ear covered, right? So that's how you can start kind of coming up with that unique style that you want for the hair, for the eyeline, for the eyebrows, for the mouth, right? All these things together. Let's go ahead and do short hair. I'm going to erase this side and maybe do short hair on this side so you can see the difference. That might be kind of fun. I'm going to erase this. For this one, I'm going to use, here's a circle again. And the hair is short, so the hair is going to come around the ear and into the neck here, like that. And since it's short hair, sorry, let me finish drawing this real quick. Since it's short hair, you don't have the kind of gravity pulling it down on the sides. So the hair might kind of flip up on the sides a little bit every so often, and you kind of work them back into the hairline. And then down here, they might get smaller and smaller. You can even kind of shadow it in back here. And then over here in front of the ear, you might want a piece of hair that sticks out and covers the top corner of the ear, right there. And then from the middle, I'm going to draw the front of the hairline. Right here, I'm going to draw like a big letter V coming down, and then connect it to this letter V here by a few more. 1, and then 2. And that's good. And just erase whatever's inside of that hair. If we replace the other side with that, here's the ear. Let me see if I can rebuild it. Here's the ear right here. The hair would have to be coming down here, that. Something like that. And then on this side, you have this edge of the ear being covered by that letter V on the side right there, and connect this one to there. So this one I'm going to make 1, 2, and the third one I'm going to change the direction. It's going to curve this way underneath this hair. And then erase everything in here. And that's my hairline for my character. You can add some more details up here, maybe a part up here that comes up and then down. And this starts the hair kind of coming out. And the same thing on this side, a little part on this side. And maybe a few strands of hair that stick out like that. That's a little too high up, maybe like that. That's probably better. Yeah, so now you have your hair, your character's hair, short hair, long hair. I think we have 57. We have a few more minutes to go. So the last thing I'm going to show you is how to put a hoodie on your character. So get your erasers ready. Here we go. So for your hoodie, what you're going to do is extend these two lines here and here out over the shoulder, just a little bit. And then you're going to make a dot underneath that letter V and draw another one wider. So it comes wider, just a little bit over the shoulder, not too long after the shoulder, just like that. Then erase the line of the shoulder in between those lines. Now, from way up here at the top of the neck, we're going to draw a curve that comes out around on both sides, bumps into this open space here and here, into there, and then back out over it. So it doesn't touch it, it just comes in and then out. 1, 2. 1, 2. And now we're going to shadow in a few areas. And the shadowing is going to be real simple. Just moving your hand back and forth at your wrist to create a nice smooth kind of curve. A nice smooth gray tone. Sorry about that. I got jumbled up with my words here. So let's go ahead and start that shadowing on this side here lightly. Get kind of light as you go up to the top. Same thing over here. Just kind of fill in this whole area with some shadowing. And then down here underneath, a little bit more under here. So you're creating that illusion that this fabric is going and folding over. You can curve this up and over, and then put in the line in the middle for the zipper. We can go ahead and put some eyelets there for the drawstring. We can put an oval sideways and an oval sideways, but don't connect the bottom. And then draw the string coming out from inside the drawstring. Draw the drawstring coming out from there. You can shade it in. Fix the edges of those lines. And now we have our hoodie kind of hanging over like that. If you want to put the hoodie over your character's head, just remember the I guess the lip of the hoodie opening is always right over the forehead. So right around here somewhere. You can make it a little higher, a little lower, but usually around here. I'm going to make it right there. And usually it kind of curves a little bit at the top, but then it looks like a triangle, so it kind of comes down like that. So curves a little bit like this, and then bring it down to right over the ear, here and here. 1, 2. Okay. And then what you're going to do is curve it down and point it towards here. And it kind of blends it in with that. And the same thing over here. Something like that. At this point, we're going to make the top of the hoodie maybe a little bit of a crease. Since this kind of comes up, we're going to make a wobbly line straight up. And then up here it might have a little bit of a point. That's where the fabric is kind of sewn up underneath. And then it might kind of go around the head and just kind of follow that shape. And then here, oh, this would actually, this bottom line would match this bottom one here. Like that. And then erase everything under there, inside of there. Same thing on this side, come out. Right there, you connect that at the bottom, erase everything inside of there. Erase the hair on the outside. And now we can go ahead and erase everything up in the actual top part of that hoodie. Okay. Then the next thing we're going to do is make this line, we're going to curve this over just a little bit into here like this. And on this side, watch what I do, curve it over and then down into this area here. So we're kind of showing the inside of that lip. You can draw some of the lines of the fabric, kind of stretching out on the sides right there. And then of course you can erase this, color in all this. It's all dark in there. And then this can kind of come in and kind of be like a little wrinkle on both sides, right? Because it's just a fabric that's kind of not fully up, but it's kind of like folded over on the sides there. All right, so we are pretty much done, and thank you again for joining me. My name is Carlos. This is Anime Your Way, and if you want to share what you did today for your drawing, you can feel free to post it on your Instagram, and you can always use the @ and tag Anime Your Way Official on Instagram, and I can always comment on it, or if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me there. And don't forget to check out my TikTok videos, and every Friday I do a live stream on YouTube where we go over some of these elements of the character in depth. Thanks so much again. I appreciate it. Downey City Library. Take care, everyone, and keep exploring. Bye-bye.